As the starship Horizon descended through the dense clouds of Viridian 3, the view that greeted the crew was both awe-inspiring and foreboding. The sprawling jungles below teemed with vibrant colors, a stark contrast to the monotone backgrounds of the metallic interiors they had grown accustomed to during their long journey. Captain Elena Miles watched from the command deck, her eyes scanning the landscape for a suitable landing site. "Reduce speed, prepare for atmospheric entry," she instructed her pilot, Lieutenant Harjo, whose hands moved with practiced ease across the controls. The ship shuddered slightly as it entered the lower atmosphere, the external cameras flickering with the bright flashes of atmospheric friction. The crew, seasoned yet always respectful of the unknown, monitored their instruments closely. Surface scans show strong electromagnetic anomalies. "It's interfering with our sensors," reported Science Officer Liu, his brow furrowed in concentration. Elena nodded, her mind racing through the implications. "Keep the shields up and continue the descent. Let's not take any chances." As they broke through the final cloud layer, the horizon finally gave them a clear view of their new world. The jungle was dense, a mosaic of greens and blues that stretched out toward the horizon. Faint sounds of unseen creatures echoed through the hull of the ship, their cries both haunting and beautiful. "Look at that," murmured Dr. Ava Singh, the ship's biologist, pointing to a large clearing near a river bend. "That looks like a perfect spot. Water source, open area for the ship, and we can use the trees as natural protection." Elena considered her options briefly, then made her decision. "Harjo, take us down there. Nice and easy." The horizon descended toward the clearing, the thrusters blowing dust and small debris around as the ship gently touched down on the surface of Viridian 3. Immediately, the atmosphere inside the ship shifted from one of tense anticipation to cautious excitement. "All right, team," Elena began, standing to address her crew, "we're here to explore and assess, not to conquer. We stick to the plan. First, establish a perimeter. Then, start collecting samples. I want water and soil analysis first. Ava, you and your team will handle the biological assessments." Dr. Singh nodded, her eyes already eager with the prospect of discovering new forms of life. "We'll be ready to go as soon as we hit the ground." Elena turned to her security officer, Sergeant Tomas Reyes. "Tomas, your team needs to be on high alert. We don't know what's out there. Make sure everyone stays within the safety protocols." Sergeant Reyes, a tall, imposing figure with years of field experience, replied with a crisp nod. "No one goes beyond the marked perimeter without clearance. We'll set up the portable electric fences at these points." He pointed to the digital map projected on the table. With the ship secured and the initial instructions given, Elena felt a momentary peace. She stepped down from the horizon, the first human to set foot on Viridian 3. The air was humid and filled with the sense of alien flora. The ground under her boots felt spongy, rich with moisture. As the rest of the crew disembarked, they brought with them equipment and the buzzing excitement of new beginnings. They were pioneers on a virgin world, ready to uncover its secrets. Yet, as the sun dipped below the tree line, casting long shadows over the land, Elena felt a chill that had nothing to do with the dropping temperature. Viridian 3 was beautiful, but she knew from experience that beauty often masked danger in the vastness of space. As the darkness grew, so did the sense of watchfulness from the jungle around them. "We're not alone here," Elena said softly to herself, gazing into the treeline. "Let's make sure we're ready for whatever this planet has to teach us." As night enveloped the horizon and her crew, the true test of their resolve began. Morning broke over Viridian 3 with the sun casting a soft, golden light through the dense canopy, its beams illuminating the mist that lingered like wisps of ghostly fabric draped between the trees. The crew of the Horizon had worked through the night to establish a perimeter and set up the essential equipment. Despite the alluring beauty that surrounded them, an undercurrent of tension pulsed through the air, a silent reminder of the unknown. As Captain Elena Miles stepped out of her temporary command post, a reinforced habitat module, she scanned the encampment. The crew moved with efficiency, but their eyes frequently darted towards the thick greenery that bordered their site. Elena approached Dr. Ava Singh, who was examining a collection of native plant samples. "Ava, anything to report on the local flora?" Elena asked, peering at the vibrant leaves that seemed to shimmer with a subtle iridescence under the morning light. Ava looked up, her expression a mix of fascination and caution. "The plant life here is unlike anything we've studied before. Their cellular structure is highly advanced, and they appear to have some form of rudimentary nervous system. It's possible they could react to external stimuli in ways we can't predict yet." Elena nodded thoughtfully. "Keep me updated. Any unexpected movement from the flora could indicate more complex ecosystem interactions than we anticipated." As the morning progressed, Science Officer Lou called Elena over to the communications array where he had been trying to map out the electromagnetic anomalies detected during their descent. His screen showed a complex web of fluctuating signals that defied the standard patterns expected from natural planetary phenomena. "It's almost like something is trying to communicate," Lou said, adjusting the frequency. "These patterns are too structured to be random." Elena's interest peaked, and as she was about to respond, a sudden alert sounded from the perimeter. Sergeant Reyes' voice came over the comm, terse and alert. "Captain, you need to see this." When Elena and Lou arrived at the western edge of their camp, they found Reyes and two of his team members staring into the jungle, where the underbrush was rustling distinctly as if something large was moving through it. The crew members instinctively reached for their weapons, but Elena raised a hand. "Hold fire. Let's see what we're dealing with first." The rustling grew louder, and then, to everyone's astonishment, a group of humanoid figures emerged from the trees. They were slender, their skin a pale blue that seemed to shift in hue with the changing light. Their eyes were large and expressive, reflecting a cautious intelligence. They wore garments of a material that shimmered like the surface of a calm sea, and in their hands, they held devices that looked technological and intricate. Elena stepped forward, her hands raised in a universal gesture of peace. "We come in peace. We mean no harm," she announced clearly. The leader of the group, a taller individual with markings of silver across their forehead, tilted their heads slightly, studying Elena and her crew. After a moment, they tapped a device on their wrist, and suddenly, they began to speak in clear, if slightly accented, English. "You are not the first to come, but the first to speak thus. What brings you to Viridian 3? Elena took a deep breath, aware that the eyes of her crew and these mysterious beings were upon her. "We are explorers, hoping to learn about your world and find ways we might coexist peacefully. We have much to share and more to learn." The alien's gaze softened slightly. "Coexistence requires understanding, and understanding requires time. You may stay, but keep your boundaries, and we will keep ours." As the aliens retreated back into the jungle, leaving the crew of the Horizon in silent awe, Elena knew they had crossed an extraordinary threshold. This first contact was the beginning of what she hoped would be a long and enlightening dialogue. "All right, everyone," she turned to address her team, her voice steady but filled with the thrill of the unknown. "Let's get to work. We have a lot to do and even more to learn." With the alien's words echoing in her mind, Elena was acutely aware that every action from here on out would pave the way for future relations on this mystifying planet. As the crew resumed their tasks, each member was keenly aware that the eyes of Viridian 3's inhabitants were upon them, watching, waiting, and judging their every move. The initial encounter with the inhabitants of Viridian 3, though peaceful, left the crew of the Horizon with a profound sense of the complexities they were about to navigate. The day following first contact was met with a palpable shift in the camp's atmosphere. Each member of the crew was more vigilant, their tasks tinged with the awareness of watchful eyes from the jungle. Captain Elena Miles convened a meeting early that morning with her senior staff in the main habitat module. The air was thick with humid warmth and the rich, earthy smell of the alien forest just outside their sealed environment. "Last night's encounter was a good start, but we're not here to simply make friends," Elena began, her gaze sweeping across the faces of her team. "We need to understand the ecological and biological risks this planet poses. The Viridians warned us to respect boundaries. I take that as a cue that there may be dangers here we are not prepared for." Dr. Ava Singh chimed in, her voice steady despite the underlying concern. The plant samples I collected have shown some disturbing characteristics. Several specimens seem to possess defensive mechanisms far beyond anything we've seen. One vine had a rapid response to touch, almost like it could sense us. It released a cloud of spores when handled. We're still analyzing the effects, but initial tests show they could be a potent allergen, or worse. Sergeant Reyes added, there's also the fauna. We've spotted creatures resembling terrestrial wolves but with body structures capable of moving silently across the forest floor. They seem to be observing us. We haven't had an encounter yet, but I've doubled the watches. Elena nodded, processing the information. Lou, any luck with those anomalies? Could they be related to the planet's defense mechanisms? Science Officer Lou looked up from his datapad. It's possible. The signals do not match any known natural phenomena. They could be artificially generated, perhaps a warning or communication system linked to the planet itself. The Viridians could be using technology to control or monitor their environment. The meeting concluded with a new sense of urgency. Elena's orders were clear: maintain high alert, continue the research, but at all costs, avoid provoking any aspect of the local ecosystem until they understood more. Later that day, Dr. Singh and her biological team, accompanied by a security detail, ventured to a nearby river to collect water samples and observe aquatic life. The river, a wide, slow-moving body of water, reflected the verdant greens and blues of the surrounding flora. As Ava knelt by the riverbank, her hand submerging a container into the cool water, the tranquility was suddenly shattered. A creature, not previously recorded, surged from the water. It was serpentine, with iridescent scales that shimmered with the same hues as the forest. Its eyes were on stalks, swiveling to focus intently on Ava. The security team reacted instantly, pulling Ava back as the creature lunged forward. It snapped its jaws shut just inches from where Ava had been moments before, then disappeared back into the depths of the river with a splash that sent ripples spreading across the surface. Breathing heavily, Ava managed to speak. That was too close. Thank you. Back at camp, the incident was a stark reminder of their vulnerability. Elena increased the security measures and restricted any further exploratory missions until they could ensure the crew's safety. The rest of the day was spent fortifying the camp and analyzing the data they had collected so far. That evening, as the twin suns of Viridian 3 set, casting long shadows and painting the sky in streaks of orange and purple, Elena stood at the edge of the camp, her eyes on the darkening forest. The events of the day weighed heavily on her. This planet was more than just a new world to explore, it was a puzzle with pieces that didn't quite fit. The night brought little relief. The sounds of the alien jungle seemed louder, more ominous. Every rustle in the underbrush, every distant howl, kept the crew on edge. Elena barely slept, her mind racing with plans and contingencies. By the break of dawn, one thing was clear: Viridian 3 was not the untouched paradise they had hoped for. It was a world that demanded respect and caution, and the Horizon crew would have to adapt quickly to its hidden dangers if they were to survive and possibly thrive. As the new day began, Elena prepared to lead her team into the unknown, ready to face whatever challenges this alien world would throw at them next. After the harrowing events by the river, Captain Elena Miles mandated a cautious approach for all further explorations on Viridian 3. The crew's routine shifted from discovery to cautious observation, and with each passing day, the mysterious nature of their new world unraveled further complexities that deepened their respect and their concern for the lush alien planet. Dr. Ava Singh's lab was abuzz with activity as the latest batch of samples was analyzed. The undercurrent of excitement that had initially fueled their scientific pursuits had morphed into a more somber diligence. Elena watched as Ava meticulously examined the structure of a spore under a high-powered microscope. These spores contain compounds that have both hallucinogenic and neurotoxic effects, Ava explained, her voice tinged with a mix of awe and alarm. They seem to be a defense mechanism, potentially affecting the nervous system of any intruder, dissuading further contact or consumption. Elena considered the implications. If the plants can do this, what's stopping the fauna, or even the planet itself, from having similar protective measures? As if in response to her thoughts, Science Officer Lou called her over to his workstation, where he had been running simulations based on the data they had gathered from the electromagnetic anomalies. "Captain, you need to see this," Lou said, gesturing to the 3D holographic display that now showed a network of ley lines crisscrossing the planet. "These aren't just random anomalies. They're too symmetrical, too intentional. It looks almost like a planetary defense system, possibly designed to protect against specific threats." Elena absorbed the visual data, the glowing lines forming a protective grid over the planet's surface. "Could the Viridians have built this?" "It's possible," Lou replied. "Or we might be dealing with a legacy far older than any civilization currently on this planet." The discussion was cut short by Sergeant Reyes, who appeared at the door of the lab, his expression grave. "Captain, we've found something outside the perimeter. It looks like, well, it's better if you see for yourself." Elena followed him to the site, a short trek west of their base camp. There, half buried in the soil, lay the unmistakable remnants of an ancient structure. Its smooth, obsidian-like surfaces jutted out from the earth, inscribed with glyphs that shimmered with a faint luminescence even in the daylight. Ava, who had accompanied them, knelt by the structure, tracing the glyphs with a gloved finger. "These markings are similar to the script used by the Viridians but more refined, suggesting a possible ancestral link." Elena's mind raced as she pieced together the evidence. This planet was once part of a larger empire, a civilization capable of bioengineering on a massive scale. The ecosystem, the anomalies, it's all been designed. But why? What were they protecting against? The crew set to work uncovering more of the structure, revealing a large panel that Ava speculated could be a control interface. With care, they activated the panel, and it sprang to life, projecting a holographic map of the galaxy. Several planets were highlighted, including Viridian 3, each marked with similar glyphs. "Their empire," Elena murmured, studying the map. It spanned multiple systems. This could be a star map, or maybe a warning system. The team worked into the night, documenting everything. As Elena stood watching the stars appear in the skies above, she felt a deep connection to those ancient starfarers. They, too, had reached for the stars, had made this planet a fortress perhaps not out of conquest, but preservation. Back at camp, Elena convened a meeting. "This changes everything," she declared to the assembled crew. "We're not just exploring a new world, we're walking through the remnants of an ancient civilization's last stand. Tomorrow, we'll attempt to decode more of these glyphs. If we can understand their purpose, maybe we can understand the true nature of Viridian 3. The crew nodded, their faces set with determination. They were no longer merely visitors, they were archaeologists of the cosmos, deciphering the secrets of a planet that was more than a world, it was a sentinel in the dark of space. As Elena retired to her quarters, the weight of their discovery pressed upon her. Viridian 3 was a treasure trove of knowledge and history, a guardian of secrets that were now theirs to safeguard. With each revelation, they drew closer to understanding the grand designs of a forgotten empire and the planet that they had come to know as a beautiful but treacherous world. The next morning, as the twin suns of Viridian 3 cast a diffused light through the mist, Captain Elena Miles gathered her crew at the edge of the newly unearthed ancient structure. The site had been cordoned off, with equipment set up around the perimeter to both protect and analyze the ruins. The air was electric with anticipation as the team prepared to delve deeper into the secrets of the planet's past. "Today, we're not just explorers, we're translators of history," Elena addressed her team, her voice carrying over the hum of machinery. "Every glyph, every structure we uncover is a piece of the puzzle. Let's be thorough and respectful." Dr. Ava Singh, equipped with a portable scanning device, began the painstaking process of translating the glyphs, assisted by a linguistics expert from the communications team. As they worked, the structure seemed to come alive, its surfaces flickering with holographic images that illustrated scenes of ancient Viridian life and, ominously, warfare. The glyphs tell a story of a civilization that was not just advanced in terms of technology but deeply aware of ecological balance and the dangers of cosmic threats, Ava reported, pausing to adjust her scanner. It seems they engineered the planet's flora and fauna to serve as a natural defense system. Meanwhile, Science Officer Liu and his team attempted to integrate their data with the information from the structure. The ley lines we mapped, Liu explained, are not just passive energy fields. They're active and responsive. It appears they can be modulated, potentially to enhance the planet's defensive capabilities. As the day progressed, the crew's understanding deepened, but so did their realization of the immense responsibility they had unwittingly taken on. Viridian 3 was not just another habitable planet, it was a fortress, a sentinel guarding against unknown cosmic threats that had once pushed a mighty empire to the brink. Suddenly, their work was interrupted by a low, thrumming sound that grew steadily in volume. The ground beneath their feet vibrated faintly as if the planet itself was responding to their investigations. Elena signaled for silence, listening intently. The sound was coming from the structure, specifically from a large, central column that had remained dormant until now. As they watched, the column's surface began to shift, segments of it twisting and realigning to form a new configuration. A deep, resonant voice emanated from the column, its tone clear and authoritative, yet with a hint of caution. "You who walk this ground, heed the Guardian's law. Prove your worth, respect our ways, or face the wrath of Viridian." It was a challenge, a test of their intentions, and possibly their survival. Elena stepped forward, her expression resolute. "We are here to learn and to respect your legacy," she called out to the voice. "We accept your challenge." With her declaration, the landscape around them began to change subtly. The trees swayed though there was no wind, and the wildlife grew still as if watching the unfolding drama. The voice spoke again. "To walk further, you must understand deeper. 3 challenges you shall face, one of wisdom, one of courage, and one of heart. Begin." The first challenge came in the form of a riddle, projected in glyphs that Ava and her team had to decipher. It spoke of the balance of life and the role of the Guardians. After tense minutes, they provided their interpretation, which was met with a soft chime of acceptance from the structure. The second challenge was physical. A path cleared through the dense jungle, leading to a cavern marked with ancient symbols. Inside, they found artifacts that needed to be reassembled, a test of their diligence and respect for the past. The team worked together, carefully reconstructing the relics to form a coherent display that told the story of Viridian's people seeking refuge from cosmic threats. The final challenge was the most daunting. They returned to the structure to find the central column open, revealing a chamber inside. Within lay a single, luminescent seed. The voice intoned, "To hold the future, one must protect the present. Who among you will bear this burden?" Elena knew what was required. She stepped forward and carefully took the seed, her hands trembling slightly with the weight of the responsibility. "We will guard it, learn from it, and honor your ways," she pledged. The voice was silent for a moment, then replied, "So shall it be." The Guardians watch. As the tests concluded, the crew felt a mix of relief and awe. They had passed the gauntlet, but the real work, the true guardianship of Viridian 3, was just beginning. As they walked back to their camp under the watchful eyes of the planet's ancient sentinels, they knew their mission had changed. They were no longer mere visitors, they were custodians of a legacy stretching across the cosmos. The completion of the challenges set by the Guardians of Viridian 3 marked a pivotal shift in the relationship between the crew of the Horizon and the planet's mysterious inhabitants. Captain Elena Miles sensed the change in the air, literally and figuratively, as the tension that had blanketed their operations since arrival seemed to lift, replaced by a cautious optimism. In the days that followed, the crew worked diligently to consolidate their findings and document the details of the trials they had faced. The seed they had been entrusted with was placed in a specially designed containment unit that mimicked the environmental conditions of Viridian 3, allowing them to study it without causing harm. "The Guardians are watching us, evaluating our every move," Elena reminded her team during a strategy meeting. "We've earned their trust, but maintaining it will require continuous effort and absolute transparency." Dr. Ava Singh updated the crew on the initial analyses of the seed. "It's unlike any botanical specimen we've encountered. It's almost sentient. It reacts to environmental stimuli in a way that suggests awareness, making it a critical piece of Viridian's ecological puzzle. Meanwhile, Science Officer Liu continued to probe the ley lines with enhanced respect and understanding. It appears these energy lines can be modulated not just by the Viridians but potentially by the seed itself. It's as if it's a key part of the planet's living network. As they adjusted to their new roles as guardians, the Horizon crew was surprised by a visit from a delegation of Viridians, led by the same figure who had first communicated with them. The aliens' approach was no longer wary but openly curious. This time, they brought with them devices that facilitated communication, translating their thoughts directly into spoken English. "You have shown honor and respect for our ways," the Viridian leader, whom they learned was named Delos, said. "We come now as partners, to guide and learn from one another." Elena welcomed Delos and his delegation with a formal reception in the Habitat module, where crew members and Viridians exchanged information about their respective cultures and technologies. Delos was particularly interested in the human approach to exploration and adaptation, while Elena was eager to understand more about the Viridians' advanced ecological technologies. "It is our way to live with the planet, not merely on it," Delos explained, his voice resonant with the translated device. "Our technologies are designed to enhance and protect the biosphere. We believe your seed is the beginning of a new era for us as well." As part of forging their new alliance, the Viridians invited Elena and her senior staff to visit a nearby settlement, a gesture that marked a significant step in their diplomatic relations. The visit revealed a society that was both advanced and in harmony with its environment. The architecture was organic, seamlessly integrated into the forest, with structures that were grown rather than built, living entities that functioned as homes and workspaces. This settlement is a testament to what can be achieved when a civilization grows with its environment, rather than imposing itself upon it, Elena observed, her respect deepening. The Viridians shared insights into their history and their interactions with other spacefaring cultures, which had not always been peaceful. "Your respect for our challenges and boundaries has set you apart from others who have come before," Delos noted. Back at the Horizon camp, plans were drawn to extend their mission, with the focus shifted from exploration to cohabitation and mutual protection. Elena proposed the establishment of a joint research facility where humans and Viridians could work together to further understand and utilize the natural resources of Viridian 3 in a sustainable way. "The facility will serve as a symbol of our commitment to each other and to this planet," Elena stated in her proposal, which Delos accepted with a nod of agreement. As the chapter on their initial exploration closed, a new one opened, filled with possibilities and responsibilities. The Horizon crew had come seeking a new world and had found a new family in the Viridians. Together, they stood ready to face whatever challenges the future might hold, bound by a shared commitment to preservation and peace. As the twin suns set, casting long shadows over the joint camp, Elena felt a profound sense of accomplishment and anticipation. They were no longer just visitors, they were partners in the truest sense of the word, guardians of a shared future. As the Horizon crew and their Viridian partners laid the foundation for the joint research facility, the air was charged with a sense of purpose and anticipation. Captain Elena Miles watched with pride as humans and Viridians worked side by side, each learning from the other, their combined efforts symbolizing a new era of cooperation and understanding. The construction site, located at the edge of a lush meadow near the river where Dr. Ava Singh had her first close encounter with the planet's wildlife, was abuzz with activity. Viridian technology, which allowed for the rapid growth of living structures from the native flora, was nothing short of miraculous to the human engineers. Under the guidance of the Viridian experts, the framework of the facility rose from the ground, its walls and roofs literally grown from the seeded materials provided by the planet itself. "This isn't just building, it's growing," observed Chief Engineer Marco Diaz, as he coordinated the integration of human technology with Viridian organic constructs. "It's like watching a building bloom." Inside the research facility, laboratories were set up to study the seed that had been entrusted to the Horizon crew, along with other ecological and biological wonders of Viridian 3. The Viridians provided devices that could interpret the biochemical languages of the planet's flora and fauna, enhancing the crew's ability to understand and interact with their environment safely and respectfully. Dr. Singh established a biointegration lab, dedicated to studying how human biotechnology could interface with Viridian ecological systems without disruption. "We're not just visitors here, we're part of the ecosystem now," she explained to her team. "Our goal is to ensure that our presence supports the planet's health." As the facility neared completion, a ceremony was planned to celebrate this milestone. Elena and Milos prepared speeches, both keenly aware of the significance of this moment, not just for their own peoples, but potentially for other civilizations seeking peaceful coexistence. The day of the ceremony was clear and bright, the twin suns of Viridian 3 casting warm light over the gathered crowd of humans and Viridians. Elena stepped up to the podium, her heart full as she looked out over the mixed assembly. "Today marks a new chapter not only for us but for all who seek to live in harmony with worlds not their own," Elena began, her voice steady and clear. "Here on Viridian 3, we have learned more than just how to survive, we have learned how to thrive together. This facility is a testament to what can be achieved when we combine our strengths and our visions." Delos followed, his speech translated seamlessly by the devices they all wore. "In the past, our encounters with outsiders have been marked by conflict and misunderstanding. But the Horizon crew brought with them a spirit of respect and humility that has forged a bond between our peoples. We stand together, not just for our future, but as a beacon of hope for the universe." After the speeches, a plaque was unveiled, inscribed with symbols from both human and Viridian alphabets. It was affixed to the entrance of the research facility, a permanent reminder of their shared commitment. In the weeks that followed, the research facility became a hub of activity and discovery. Teams made up of both humans and Viridians worked on various projects, from sustainable energy solutions that combined human solar technology with Viridian bioelectric systems, to agricultural innovations that would allow human food crops to grow in alien soil. Elena often walked through the facility, watching as her crew and their new allies interacted, solved problems, and laughed together. The challenges they faced were immense, but so were the opportunities. As the first year of their new life on Viridian 3 drew to a close, Elena found herself reflecting on the journey. They had come seeking a new world and had found much more, a second home and a new family among the stars. The sun set on Viridian 3, casting long shadows and bathing the facility in golden light. Elena stood watching, a contented smile on her face. This was just the beginning. With each new day, they would continue to learn, to grow, and to build a future that honored all who called this beautiful planet home.